As a matter of fact, in ours, he's still up.
Yeah.
He's still like.
I want you to put your hands together
There goes to the neighborhood. There goes to the neighborhood.
and welcome him to the stage. Big round of applause.
There goes to the neighborhood.
All right, welcome back to episode 27 of the SmokeScreen podcast. Back with my co-host James.
Happy to be back with my co-host Chris.
And I'm Happy Gilmore. Jesus Christ. I forgot to think of a fucking name before we started. Anyway, back with the Game of Thrones rewrite for season 8. We did episode 1 last week. People are digging it.
I think so.
I think they're enjoying it. So we don't have to go through and explain exactly what we're doing. Go back and check out episode 1. This will be Game of Thrones season 8, episode 2.
Yeah.
And I guess we can do a recap.
Yeah, probably. Are they still going to like it when we take it off the rails?
Oh, it's going way off the rails. This one will be a lot of the same stuff because it was an outstanding episode.
It was.
It really was. And the oddity of season 8 is that episode 2 was one of the best episodes in the history of the whole show.
Right, and it gets swallowed up in all the criticism.
It does, absolutely. So we kept most of it the same, but we added a few things, obviously, that matter to set up things later. And continuation from last week with the Howland Reed thing. So I guess
go ahead and do a recap or whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Okay, quick recap for episode 1. Go watch it in detail if you want to. And by the way, thank you to our Patreons. I want to say that really quickly. Patrons on Patreon, I should say, for the SmokeScreen podcast. It keeps us going.
Yes.
You can watch this or listen to it, I should say, on SoundCloud, Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean. Hey, look, I didn't forget again.
No.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, do us a favor and watch all of it if you can, or a lot of it, and share it and like it and subscribe and all that good stuff.
And before we get too deep in it, just for time stamping, when we go back later and watch this again, right now we are in the throes of a coronavirus scare.
Yes.
Kind of, it's crazy. Things have changed a lot at work. Seems to be the most real, scary kind of pandemic type thing of our lifetime.
I think so.
Been a lot of other
we
ones
had
in
SARS
the past.
that was a little more deadly. I think it was a decade ago.
Yeah, bird flu, swine flu.
Yeah, there's been a few, but I think this is the most widespread. I believe is what they're saying,
and the most taken most seriously. So just so when we look back later, we'll say, oh yeah, that was.
Yeah, during the hopefully everybody's while they're inside and having to social distance.
That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe podcasts and stuff will do a lot of good. I don't know.
I think so. Little escapism.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not going to talk about the swine flu,
right,
or the coronavirus, or the drink for that matter. We're going to talk Game of Thrones. So anyway,
it's always fun to go back to me and hear things that we mention when we go.
Yes,
like. On episode 3, when you go back and listen to it, and I mentioned that I lost my virginity, that's always going to be awesome for me.
Right. Jesus. Oh, geez.
Such a bookmark in my life.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry. I will not interrupt again.
No. That's the beauty of this podcast. I don't fucking edit this podcast. It's unedited. It's just
why I do it.
That's why
I know.
Because I'm laughing the whole time while I've listened to it like 3 times by the time it comes out. So yes, we'll release this early on Patreon. So we'll do that. But watch the whole entire episode 1 for all the details. But I'll give a quick recap here for episode 1 so you can, for anybody that may have skipped that or whatever. So we had after John got told about his parentage, his heritage, all that good stuff in the crypts with Sam. That was essentially the same.
Yeah.
He walks out, but doesn't immediately believe it.
Right.
As he shouldn't. He walks out, and this time at the top of the crypts, we have Howland Reed is here in our story. Howland Reed is here, ladies and gentlemen,
as we think he should be.
Yes.
We've always said that.
Exactly. It makes no sense that he's not in this show. So Howland Reed is there, and he says, I think we had him saying something to the effect of, "He's right, boy," or something like that. Because Sam's still behind him, like, it's true, John, whatever. I don't believe it. He's at the top with Bran of the stairs at the crypts at the entrance and says something like that. So Howland Reed's in the story. I did say I had a thing for season 7. There is no dead dragon at this point. There was no Viserion turned into a white dragon or a fucking White Walker dragon. I know people argue about that. So that didn't happen. The wall came down with the magic of the Night King as opposed to a dragon. He touched the ground with all the other White Walkers and broke it like he did the cave because of Bran's mark, so that still matters. So that was the only thing we had from season 7. I know a lot of people say you can't fix season 8 without fixing 6 and 7, and I get all that, but we're just to save time. We're just going with it, except for that.
Because honestly, we know you could go back even further.
Yeah,
than 7
you could go back and
start tweaking stuff way
you
early.
can start doing hints in episode 1 of season 1, for Christ's sake, for what we're talking about.
That's
so
right.
for where we're heading. We have so the wall fell by magic instead of the dragon, and then Howland Reed. So that's in this episode. We were saying in our preview for this episode something about the symbols, so that will come back into play this episode.
Yeah,
so I had this written down, but we
were
had
on the same page.
We wasn't. I don't think we were really clear on that. Had somebody asked me on the live stream the other day, wait a minute, did it end with Howland Reed or did it end with Jamie? It did end with Jamie, but the scene right before that was Howland Reed, and he just says that.
Yes.
So this episode we'll get into the symbols a little bit.
Right.
So that's the basic changes. There's a few more little minor things if you want to check it out. So.
And I'll just say this, that, when Chris and I did the prep for this episode 2, we were talking. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I feel like these could be good companions to the actual episode. If some of you guys wanted to take the time to actually watch it and maybe pause it at certain spots if you had to, because that's what we did, and it really helped flow and carry the story along what we're trying to do along with the show, and it seemed to fit real. Episode 2 was a lot of fun for us.
Yes,
I thought.
Yes, I think that's a great idea actually, because we're not. This is the podcast, so we don't edit this and put screenshots in, and we usually go about an hour. I don't know if this one will be since we're not having to explain the whole thing, but we can't put in screenshots, and I can't of every single scene to kind of keep everybody. If you've seen it, you'll be able to picture, but. Like you said, if you watch along with it and pause, you'll really be able to fucking visualize what we're saying.
I think so.
So yeah, that's a good idea. It's a great idea
because you're in the moment,
yes.
And then as you hear what we're tweaking, you're still in that moment, and it feels like it fits. It's a weird thing. Like I said, I don't know if I got the words right,
trick ourselves into it happening this way,
and it flows. Yeah,
so,
it seems like what we're actually rewriting.
I mean, honestly, for something like this, I should be editing and putting in screenshots for what we're talking about to visually help or whatever, but it's the podcast.
If it wouldn't be such a editing nightmare,
yes,
I would like for them to see us doing what we did. That
I agree.
Watching us watch it, pause, and talk about the story and everything. We're gonna pass that along to you. Don't get us wrong, but it was really fun. I had a lot of fun.
Editing nightmare and a copyright nightmare. So we have to stay. We can't play the audio and shit either. Okay. The only thing I wanted to change that I completely forgot to mention and this is for the beginning of the episode as well, because it starts with the Great Hall and all that. We have Jamie.
Yeah.
In the Great Hall.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I had that I mentioned to you as we were taking our notes for this episode is I completely forgot to mention he didn't show up alone.
Right.
He did show up alone in that scene for Bran or whatever, but there were people with him, and specifically Edmure Tully, a handful of leftover frays, if there are any, and
how cool
from his house.
How cool would this be, guys?
For
Think about that.
So Edmure Tully is here at Winterfell too, by the way.
Right.
He just didn't show up in episode 6, and like he's been in prison the whole time somewhere.
Right. I love that idea.
So on the way to Winterfell, Jamie stopped by and kind of repaid his debt to him and got him out. Whatever. He was still, I'm assuming, in prison somewhere. The twins, I guess it was. It was really unclear if he ever went back to from River Run to the Twins or where he was. So he is back at Winterfell. Him and I'm just saying like 100 people or 50 people, not some big army,
right? But
a handful of the leftover people came with Jamie to Winterfell. So we're at the Great Hall. We had first note I had here was the conversations are basically the same, but we're adding a few things.
Yeah.
Dany here, I had the first thing admits her father was cray-cray. Like she did to John.
Yep.
So it was like, kind of like a repeat of what she told John, and maybe John would actually say this too, because let's just get it all out in the open and stop with the bullshit and the pretending.
Yeah.
Let's just say that she acknowledges that
she grew up hearing the stories about
exactly,
him.
And then she was told by Sir Barristan Selmy that it was all true, and she apologizes to House Stark for the sins of House Targaryen against them with the whole thing, and kind of like she did with Jon alone.
Yeah.
She just needed to be that person.
I agree.
So up to this point, we have her. She's been working out in the field with the men, doing shit, really starting to change minds. And now she actually says this in the open in the hall. And let's just break the tension right now. Let's just start, start working our way. Oh, yes, Jamie tells them about the Golden Company, and we see Varys for a second. This is important.
Right.
So when he says that Cersei has hired the Golden Company and Euron didn't really go back to the Iron Islands, and he went and picked up the Golden Company, it flashes over to Varys.
So he can do...
And maybe Jorah.
Right.
That's going to happen too.
That's exactly what we were saying.
So we
maybe Jorah, but we definitely want to see kind of a light bulb moment with Varys.
Yes. So it's just kind of a nonchalant shot. It's not like a just a nonchalant shot to maybe Jorah and Varys are hanging out. Maybe they're sitting close to each other like they should be because they're with Dany's crew. So maybe we rearrange the place a little bit. So that was the next note I had. Are you on the same note, or are you just letting me lead it here?
Well, what happened?
I know we both
when we
were
were doing it. Yeah, I was actually just writing the scenes so I would remember. What scenes were there? But as we kept rewriting things, I let you just write it down.
This was the other quote I had and this is on the same scene. We'll switch scenes here in a minute. But for Dany and the Jaime thing, because there's a lot of, even though she admits that her father was crazy and she heard the stories from Sir Barristan Selmy, she believes him.
Yeah.
It's still her father. It's still the king.
Yep.
So it's still regicide. So she says something to the effect of, quote, "You killed my father to save the city, but served your own father that would murder a wife and unknown child at a feast."
Exactly.
So it's kind of a tit for tat, eye for an eye type of statement. Yeah. It doesn't let him off the hook completely.
No.
Is what I'm saying.
No.
So the idea is that, my father was bad, but your father did this. And so which one is worse? It kind of parallels what Tywin said. Is it worse for me to kill 15 at dinner or 2,000 on the battlefield or whatever?
Yeah. And Sansa still interjects about her dad. And
yes.
He attacked my dad in the streets, and all that. So everybody's getting their dads out on the table.
Exactly. And so the other stuff is there with Jaime, because Jaime said the right stuff that he needed to in response to these things.
I think so too.
Left a few things out, I think. I did have that in this same scene, Brienne adds to defend Jaime that he gave half of ice to her to protect the Stark kids, so they acknowledge that they have ice.
I think that was so cool when you said that.
Oathkeeper and it's right there, and they never acknowledged that used to be the ancestral sword of House Stark. So that's important. It's not just she did say that he armed me and armored me.
She did,
but she never mentioned. And by the way, he said this would protect the Stark kids. Shh, this was ice, by the way.
This was ice.
So that will come back into play. That is actually said now. Shit.
Exactly.
He did. It gives a little more detail as to what he did.
It does.
As opposed to
when nobody was looking.
When nobody.
That says a lot about his character.
Exactly. When nobody was looking. So it's not just he let me go.
Yep.
Kind of thing. So these small details, I think, is what makes it really more. It really leads up to some good, cool things.
I agree.
So Bran steps up, adds that about ice, and they have basically two swords now. Mm-hmm. So we did delete something.
I do have that note. Dany scolding Tyrion.
Yeah, we changed it a little bit later, I think. But I think because they walked out of the hall, and it was like, she jumped all over him.
I thought that was unnecessary.
You're either a fool or stupid, and he said I was stupid. I made mistakes and whatever. We just took that out.
Yeah, because
it was just unnecessary, and it starts to lead to this. I guess it was supposed to.
It was
starting to lead to she's going a little
going
crazy.
Mad, yeah.
I don't know. She's kind of losing it over So we're not.
Since we're not going that direction,
probably not going that route.
Right.
I would say. So we just took that scene out. But I think instead of just deleting it, I think I said something like, she did say, "I'm glad you made it out of there alive." Because eventually this does happen anyway.
Yeah.
Jorah says, "Look, Tyrion tries it. He's a good guy," and she later on says, "That's when go to the crypts and stuff." We'll get to all that. But
right.
The point is, she does it anyway.
Yeah.
So there's no need for both.
No, there's not. Agreed.
We'll just delete that scene. We had Arya and Gendry. I thought that was fine. I didn't have anything there. I don't think we needed to add or change.
No,
I don't think we both.
Because like I even wrote down, definitely keep in the line. I know death has many faces, and I look forward to seeing
all
this.
that good stuff. The only thing I
great
added
line.
was when she was throwing the dragon glass. Let the dude shit his pants or something.
Yeah, the
funny.
dude by the post that she's
I
throwing.
mean, the first one he just went
yeah,
and just stood there and stayed,
Right.
and then he ran off. But just have him flip over the damn rail, shit
Right.
his pants or running. I don't know. Just make it funnier. But
Agreed.
no, the scene was fine. It was flirty, and she showed off her skill, you know, and got Gendry impressed again and all this kind of stuff.
yeah, I loved it. Sets up everything. Like I said, this was a good. Scene. This was a good episode.
This was a great episode. Okay, Jamie Brienne scene. This would be, I guess. Jamie Brienne. I said Brienne. I can't read my own writing. So Jamie's out in the Godswood now with Bran. They have this conversation. Now you could have told them, and they would have killed me.
Right.
He said I couldn't let them murder you first. Whatever, that type of. So all that still happens. But what we see when Jamie at the very end of this is he walks off because he sees somebody coming. He nods to Bran, walks off, and we see Mira appear in the background. So yes, Mira did come along with Howland Reed. She's not going to stay in the neck by herself. So
And
she's there back.
Totally see that. They needed to have a little reunion. And
A little bit different from the ending we saw in 7.
Yeah.
The weird. You're not Bran Stark anymore. That all can stay. Fine,
Yeah.
but let's have a little apology or something.
Right.
Anyway, she walks up. We don't see the scene. We don't see the conversation. We just know they're going to have one. Cat hole. Come on, man.
What are you doing?
Okay, so the next scene we completely made up.
Right.
We actually, we're calling it a rewrite. We're kind of mixing things up and anything. So this is actually a writing part. So we're inserting a scene here. So we had the Jamie Bran scene. Mira comes up behind, and then we switch over to the crypts.
Yeah, so it cuts from her. We don't even need to hear what her and Bran talk about.
No,
Mira
we
and
don't.
Bran.
We don't.
So once you see her get up close enough and they make eye contact, recognizes everything, then it cuts to the crypts.
So you go from daughter to father.
Yes.
And he's in the crypts. And basically what we have here is not specific wording, but he's kind of talking to Ned. He's down in the crypts visiting Ned. They're longtime buddies. I mean, they're supposed to be, and that was the odd thing of never seeing him, except in flashbacks. But then he turns to Lyanna and apologizes for not getting there sooner. And by, of course, he means the Tower of Joy. This cat is about to die.
What's wrong with this thing?
She knows her record, man.
She has to.
She absolutely does. Anyway, I'm sorry. Sorry, interrupted by the cat hole. So he's talking to Ned, the statue, kind of like John would, but it's been a long time, whatever, since he's been to Winterfell. Obviously, he never showed up for when Robb was king in the North, any of that stuff. He's down there talking to Ned, but he turns to Lyanna and kind of apologizes. Little flashback and rhyme with Robert in season 1, 2, as well, because
I was thinking that
it does rhyme with season 1 a little bit. And then he basically says, we apologize for not getting there sooner, but now it's time. And of course, we know what that's referring to because he can vouch for the child that was there at the Tower of Joy. So insert Howland Reed scene there right after the Jamie Bran / Mira scene.
Yeah.
Then we go to Jamie and Brienne out in the battlements, outside of Winterfell. Everything stays the same. It's perfect. Nothing wrong with it at all. That's when he's saying, "Look, I'm not the fighter I used to be." Type thing. So let me be under your command, and she accepts.
I love that scene.
It was a perfect scene. There's no reason to change it.
And she was like, "Well, what's wrong with you? You're usually insulting me by now."
Do you want me to insult you? No. Then so it was a great scene.
It really was.
Sansa and Dany. So we added something here.
Well, there was another scene before that.
Oh yes, that's
Dany
right.
and Jorah.
Yes.
Where he tells her Tyrion was a good choice, which you mentioned earlier.
Right.
But it's that scene, and we liked it as well.
It's fine. It kind of confirms what we were saying before, where you could say, you could skip it because if we didn't have her kind of cussing him out that bad, then we're not saying don't do it. Just don't make it as harsh.
Right.
Is all we're saying.
Right, because we get the fact that Dany worries about Tyrion's family roots being deep or strong.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
absolutely.
So she has to keep him in check and maybe feel him out at the same time. But she went overboard in that scene.
It was just way too, like, it was like a flip of the switch.
Yeah.
And I know she's on edge up here and all that, and I get that. So, yeah, you want that little bit of drama, but just not that. That was just like overboard.
Right.
So, yeah, this scene can stand, or however that works in best for for that particular thing. We're going to focus on the big important stuff as opposed to actual lines for
that.
cases.
For that scene, it does show that Jorah, isn't overly jealous, and he's really cool.
He's actually been an advisor.
Yeah.
He's actually listening to things and paying attention. He knows
Right.
what's going on, and he's worried about her, and also at the same time respects him as the hand.
Yeah.
And he says that, I was jealous, it about killed me type thing.
Right.
So that can stay. I think that's fine. Then we had Sansa and Dany. So we did change something here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they have this talk. It's a really good talk, actually, until the end when she starts, what about the North type thing.
Right.
So when she asked that, we're going to have a little, and I know they left it open to leave that tension there, but we have to break it and then build it back up and break it. You don't just leave it there all the time. So we had at the end of this basic talk when she starts asking about the North, you're just going to have to trust me. We have to take the throne first. Because, the idea is you have to root out the
Right.
evil bitch in King's Landing first.
Right.
Before any of this can be discussed.
Right. And I even made a joke, like she'd say, "You're putting the cart in front of the dragon."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But honestly, think about that, guys. She's saying, Sansa is still, being enough Sansa by thinking about what about the North,
Right, exactly.
And then she says, hey, I understand.
Yes.
But just trust me. Let me get the throne first. I think that's great.
You have to trust me. And there's a reason. It's not just for blind trust.
Right.
Because they had this talk about trust and Jon and who's getting manipulated by who, type thing. It's a love thing. And so this will set up something down the road, obviously.
Yes.
So she adds basically the same conversation, but at the end, we have to take the throne first. She still has her hands there. You will have to trust me.
I love it.
That type
love
of
it.
thing. She leans into her.
Yes.
Instead of this weird, awkward face.
Yeah, because she pulled back in that scene.
Yeah,
Like,
she said,
whoa,
we always said we wouldn't kneel to anybody else and blah, blah. What about the North? And after that great conversation where they smiled and she kind of apologized for the way she acted when she showed up. So it was starting to change like we thought was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got a cat hole. Anyway, so yes, that's going to set up something. Just trust me.
I love it.
Then we have Jon, Torment, Sam, and Ed. They get back from. Did I miss something?
Yeah. Well, Theon walks up after.
Oh
Dany and
yeah,
Sansa.
that's the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the same. Yeah.
All I'm doing going to do is, I think he skipped ones that we were just going to leave the same. Some of the
right,
small,
right.
real
Probably
quick scenes. But yeah, so I got the Theon walks up, and I guess he says, tells Dany what's up with his sister,
Yes, exactly.
and
But this
asks
time, yeah, we
Sansa-
should have mentioned that actually because we said that Yara is not just going to.
That's right.
He says, in the actual episode, she's taking the Iron Islands back for you in your name.
Yeah.
But that don't even make any sense.
I know.
Because they agreed it would be hers, but she still agreed to help in the war. So he's going to say she's going back to rebuild there.
Yeah.
Just to add that little piece.
Right, I agree.
The rest of it can be the same. The idea is that he's back. He recognizes the queen, but also Sansa and him have long history.
I love
and the
that.
Starks, and so the scene was fine. And the idea is that it lets Dany see that people really love her. That's fine. That's fine. We'll get there.
Right.
So that can stay.
And then the next scene was Davos was out there serving food. And,
Yeah,
and Gilly was
stays
talking,
the same.
and-
Building up the
know.
attention. We're not soldiers, you will be, you are now. And she says, I survived the Battle of the Bastards and
Right.
Blackwater and
I
all this
love
shit.
that when he said
With
that.
no fighting skill, by the way. He
Yes.
mentions that again later on the drinking scene. So
Right.
now we're at Torment. Is
Yeah,
that right?
Torment, yep.
So so Torment shows up with Ed and the Night's Watch guys. And they're all having their reunion. That's basically the same. But this time, Howland Reed comes from the crypts where he just was. So we switch over from. So maybe the camera pans around and you see him coming from the crypts where
I love
he
it.
just literally was in the scene before. As they're catching up, how much time we got, what happened, what'd you find at the last hearth? They say he left another one of those damn symbols like he always does. Always the artist. Maybe repeat Mance Raider's line
How
there.
cool.
And Howland Reed comes from the crypts, as we just saw. He walks up behind him and says, what symbol? And so just let that sit there for a minute.
Yeah. This is going to be awesome.
Yes. And then, basically John, or you can have anyone you want because they were all there at some point. You could have John say he left this spiral thing at the Fist of the First Men. And you could have Torment say, "Yeah, we've seen it before up in up in the north, being the wildlings, whatever."
And John says, "I saw it in the cave."
Exactly, we saw a lot of these same things down in the cave in Dragonstone. And when he says this spiral symbol, maybe he even leans down and kind of draws it in the snow, something just real, just something to let him know exactly what it is, because he's like,
yeah.
Howland Reed is like, wait a minute, hold on, no, seriously, what symbol?
Right.
Like serious about it, not just the throw off thing. So, damn cat hole. Anyway, they do that, and then he says, "I know what it means."
Love it.
There you go. So we'll get back to that. We'll follow up on that. So Howland Reed comes up in that scene. Same. Other than that, it's the same. We don't have much time. They're on the way, but he's not on the dragon, so maybe they have a little more time. But he can tell them where they're at. Meanwhile, you can have Bran actually telling them.
Agree.
He can be doing something.
That's right.
He's going to be doing more, but in the meantime. Next was the War Room, I believe. Mm-hmm. So we had the War Room. Bran says he'll come for me. He does say that, but Howland Reed is in there now, and he says Howland Reed kind of interjects and says, "Well, he will, on his way to a much bigger goal."
Right.
So this is going to start setting up some, oh, wait a minute, really? So Bran's not really right.
Right.
And it's kind of surprising to him.
And it's only because he hasn't looked at everything he needs to look at. You know what I mean?
They completely underutilized Bran this entire season.
Right.
So we're going to use him. So
you get the right people around Bran to kind of push him in the right direction.
Yes.
And he'll tie up every loose end.
Like they completely told us was going to happen, essentially, in everything in foreshadowing. So basically, at that point, they continue their planning, but we said the planning would be a little different.
Yes, we
There's
did.
no need for anybody to be outside these walls except 2 Dothraki battalions or whatever on either side. So they plan on these fire trenches.
Yes.
So the archers can take out most of the whites.
Yeah, and all those little obstacles with the glass.
Yes, all that
in
stuff.
them.
Sure, fine. Have it all out there.
Yeah.
Make it hard for them to get to the walls. But the idea is archers first. Then they will have 2 Dothraki cavalries on, because they're the cavalry on horseback, the only ones with horses. They're going to come from 2 flanks, so they're going to be way out of sight.
Yes,
they're way out of sight, so all the whites can come funneling in. They're going to funnel them to the front of Winterfell, or I guess that's the northern side of Winterfell.
Right.
With these fire trenches to stop them and slow them down, so their archers can take care of most of them. And the idea is for when they need them, the cavalry can come in. So they're going to plan this a little differently. We're not war experts.
No.
We just got to acknowledge common sense.
And we did talk about, so you got the archers and maybe use a dragon.
Yes.
An unmanned.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's definitely the dragons.
Right.
I mean, you got dragons.
And so, whatever's left that makes it there, then the cavalry comes around flanks on both sides.
Exactly.
You don't need to lose all them running out into that darkness like that.
No. And I think that was supposed to be a kind of a oops mistake where they got pumped up and just went. But the idea is here, the idea for our battle, not being medieval battle experts.
No.
But is you have archer rank. You have I guess a volley. Dragons come by. Volley. Dragons come by. As they turn around, volley, dragons come by. And you just keep on not whittling them down. And they go for the White Walkers. And we'll get all that in the battle stuff.
Yeah.
The White Walkers, as we know, you kill the White Walker, and then you'll see groups of whites falling too.
Yeah, and
So.
I said this, and, this is just a little thing that I think I would like to see is, when the scene happens and you see the dead horse hoof come up, and then it pans up this dead horse and there's a White Walker sitting on it.
Yes.
And then more come up. I said I would like to see, because Night King and ours, he doesn't have a dragon.
Yeah, he's on horseback.
So I said it'd be cool to have him on one of those big dead polar bears or something.
Yeah,
something different.
You could do the polar bear. You could do, because the Warg King in the picture of the World of Ice and Fire is on the back of a polar bear.
Oh, cool.
You could have ice spiders as big as hounds, and you can have all this stuff that you want from the books.
A dead
a
dire
giant
wolf.
mammoth, a dire wolf. I mean, something cool.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, if you want to make him stand out, you know, like you
Yeah,
said, 'cause
mammoth.
he's on
We
a
did talk
dragon,
about that
obviously.
too, yeah.
So you got all these options. So yeah, have him on something cool, but he is on something's back.
Right.
He's not a dragon. He's not flying around.
Right.
In our story.
Yeah, in our story, he's going to be he's going to be throwing frozen javelins, not fire from a dead dragon above.
Exactly. He's going to use ice powers. He's fucking Sub-Zero. Okay, that's where we're going.
That's right.
So they finished their battle plans. They talk about this in the, I think, is in a more logical way for what we're talking about. And then, you know, as Helen Reed just said that to Bran, he says, "Can you please come with me? We need to go to the Godswood."
Oh yeah, I jumped the gun.
We need to go to the Godswood.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that scene. Everybody kind of disbands.
Right.
They don't have to explain everything right there, but Bran and Helen Reed go off on their own.
Yes.
As
yes.
opposed to just Tyrion sitting around talking to Bran.
Right.
You know, we don't need that. In this scene, right, as they're dispersing, you know, Helen and them head out. Everybody kind of walks out. We added this part. Jon says to Sansa, "Have you seen Ghost?"
Yes.
Because
Exactly.
we're gonna have some direwolf action up in here.
Yeah, and we actually even said maybe she said something about it's been a few days. Something.
Yes. So you don't, you know, pick an answer. It's not.
Yeah.
It just as long as it's set up. It, you know, you can
Right.
have the dialogue you want. But yeah, he was here a few days ago. Probably went to hunt.
Yes, he probably went
Something.
hunting again or
But
something.
it acknowledges he's here, and we're going to obviously use Ghost.
Yes.
So yes, he just asked about it because they don't come back and not ever ask about your dog.
No,
I mean he should have been right there in the courtyard when you came up.
I agree.
But in this case, since they wasn't there, and we'll just have him off because he's always been off hunting. He's always done that.
Yeah,
Books and
thing.
show.
Yeah.
So yeah, then we go to our I guess it's the drinking scenes, and so those are all
Love it.
perfect. We're not changing anything about Brienne. I mean, she got knighted. She is a knight of the Seven Kingdoms. That all stays the same. I think there's no reason. All that dialogue is great. It's funny. It's touching. It's moving. You're happy. You're sad. You're scared. All the emotions are
Yeah.
there for all these scenes. They're all reminiscing. So I think it was perfect. Mm-hmm. And the Bran scene was probably easily top 3 scenes in the whole show.
Yeah.
Of her getting knighted by
Yeah.
Jaime.
I agree. And then when it's, you know, also panning out to the Hound and Arya out there talking.
Yeah,
I mean,
up
switching,
top.
not panning, but switching back and forth.
Right.
All those are great. You know.
Yeah, it's the perfect humor for him. He, you know, Barrett comes out and he threatens to throw him over the edge.
That was
Be
so
careful,
awesome.
Thoros in here. That was so fun.
That was
and
so
you know,
good.
and that's what's great. Barrett just smiles about it. He knows that's the way he shows his affection
Right.
for friends and loved ones, so to speak. So, Jenny's song.
Yes.
Loved Jenny's song. Jenny's song was outstanding. Have Pod singing Jenny's song. But what we're changing during this, we keep the little, because, you know, as they played the song, you had, you know, Sansa and Theon eating together and different couples. You had Arya and Gendry after
Right.
post nut.
Yes.
You know, laying on the, I don't know, was it a sacks or a bed?
I
They
know.
were covered
It
up.
looks like sacks to me.
But they had covers, so
Yeah.
maybe they went up to the room. I don't know. So you have all that. And it always shows the dude passed out. I don't get it, man. I really don't. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he went 3 or 4 rounds. I'm not sure.
Yeah, in ours he does.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, in ours, he's still up.
Yeah.
He's still like. Okay, so during Jenny's song, you have those visions, as we said, that stay as far, or not the visions, but, you know, flashing around Winterfell, people doing their thing, getting their groove on, whatever it may be.
Right.
Yes, Gendry got. Sorry. But anyway, so during Jenny's song, it continues a little longer. It don't have to be long because it's going to be very quick here.
Right.
We have Bran and Howland Reed in the Godswood. You see Bran's eyes do the thing, turn white, you know, and we see a collection. We see a collection of visions here. Another new set that he's going to have visions in this season.
Right.
And they're going to mean something. We have a collection of the symbols. So various symbols, really quick flashes of the symbols we've seen in the very prologue, the first episode,
Right.
Fist of the First Men, the one at Last Hearth they just saw.
The wall in the caves, everything.
All those.
It's
In
awesome.
the cave, you have all the symbols. You have the Night King dragon glass going in his chest. Really quick flash of that again.
Of him being made.
Of him being made,
created.
essentially,
Yes.
being created, yes. You have a bloody stomach. Kind of like Liana's, I guess. You have fire moving across water.
Yes.
Just like imagine Blackwater Bay.
Right. That's
Almost like the wildfire lights up and it across the water. So you have fire going across water. You're not really sure what that is yet. You have Burn Them All again, but this time instead of just seeing the Mad King, you see Blood Raven.
Yes.
Now, I'd prefer them to show the old Blood Raven with the long silver hair, but that's fine. Max von Sydow, rest in peace, by the way.
Yes.
Have Blood Raven being seen while you hear Burn Them All, as in the Mad King's voice.
Right. I love that.
You have a shot of the camera, like kind of going into the crypts, but this time instead of just like the typical Liana Ned, it goes past them into the darkness further than you've seen before. So it's a shot. Just imagine that picture, that scene where here's Ned and Liana, and it just keeps going into the darkness. And then we have Bran in reverse, falling reverse, like flying back up to the window.
Yeah.
And then
he comes out of it.
He comes out of it. That's the scenes. So do I need to repeat those? I don't know.
One of my favorite scenes we've written.
Yes, this will mean a lot. So yes, do I need to repeat those? I'm not sure.
Do it. You can do it real quick.
So just in case you missed that. So during the song, Jenny's song, what that Pod is singing.
Because remember, they left the war room. He said, "Come with me, Bran."
Yes, they're out there. We see Bran and Howland reading the God's Eye. He goes into his thing, his morgue mode. Godswood. Let's say God's Eye.
Yeah.
Godswood. Same thing. We see a collection of symbols.
Yes.
We see the Night King dragon glass in the chest really quickly. We see a bloody stomach. We see fire going across water. Think Blackwater Bay. We hear Burn Them All and see not only the Mad King but also Blood Raven instead of the Mad King. We see the shot of the camera going past the Starks and the crypts that we know into the darkness. And then we see Bran in reverse going back up to the window, and then he comes out of his morgue mode. So there you go. Visions this time. We have visions.
We should have had them.
We should have had actual visions. We like visions. Then we go to we're getting close to the end here actually already. John and Danny in the crypts. So this happens the same way, I think. Basically, we have the only thing we really wrote was he's in shock obviously, and she's in shock because he's telling her now.
Yeah.
Shock, but less attitude. Is kind of the way you phrased it, because she has, and the idea is that there's a bigger plan here, and this will go into why she said, Sansa, you have to trust me now.
Yeah, because they built this up.
Big plans. She's got big plans. # big plans. She does, and it's going to include him, so she's not so defensive about it. Yes, she needs to be in shock. She needs to go, oh shit, you're the last Targaryen heir and all this kind of stuff as far as a male and blah, blah, blah. But they're in this together.
Yeah, so this changes some things, but we're still a team.
Yeah, because we were still planning on doing all this together. We're in love now. Mm-hmm. So basically the same thing. It's just a little less, like you said, attitude and like, well, it makes you the last male, through whatever, to the Iron Throne heir and all that stuff. So same basic idea, just, and again, I'm not saying like instantly. You're going to have her because her whole life she thought she was the last, and she does have big plans, but they're different here.
Right.
And it can include him is the idea. The second to last scene, I think we're on the same page here.
Yes.
Tyrion looks out over at the night, same way it does. It pans out there, and you see the darkness or whatever. And then this is when you see, I think, the Night King on whatever. What you mentioned
where I
earlier.
Jumped the gun earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have, and my pen stopped working. So Tyrion does that, but you see the Night King. This time you see the Night King as opposed to just the White Walker. So you still see the line and it's scary and whatever, but he's on whatever he's on.
Yeah, right.
So if you like a bear, make it a bear.
Or
if you
big
like
ice spider.
Ice spiders as big as hounds.
Yeah.
Fine. Make it imposing, just like it was. Setting up the next episode. And then last scene for episode 2. Immediately after the scare of the Night King and all that stuff. Cut back to Bran in the at the Heart Tree, still breathing heavily. It was a pretty intense session, I guess you can call it. And he says, "The Isle of Faces," and it cuts to black. While Jenny's song starts to play as the credits roll.
Not the one Podrick's
the
singing.
Modern version.
Yes,
the modern version, as it did in the actual credits.
Right.
So Tyrion looks over. He sees the Night King. He's there, and the White Walkers. They've arrived. Bran wakes up at the same time, breathing heavily. the Owl of Faces, and cut to black. Jenny's song plays, and we're all going, "Holy shit!" And we're going on a live stream.
Yes. Talking about the fucking new package of visions we've got to talk about.
Exactly. We got to something to dissect again, and what does that mean? What does it mean with the fire going across water? What is?
Yeah.
Why do we see Liana again with the bloody stomach? Was it?
God, I'm so glad Helen showed up. You know,
Exactly. Finally. So there's episode 2.
Yeah.
That's it. The majority of it is the same, but those scenes are really, really important that we added, and the lines that we added.
And the only
visions.
thing you mentioned something that evidently didn't make the final cut.
Oh.
But I remember you mentioned something that
I could have
thought was
marked something
cool,
out that,
and we might. Maybe you had a reason for cutting it. I don't remember, but I remember you brought up a point when we were watching it that I thought was really cool, and it might have been the vision scene where you were saying, because that would kind of show the importance of Craster's kids. And,
yeah. I just mentioned it's kind of a one-off. Not really
and
sure
I
if you want
thought
to
that
go
was
there.
awesome. Right. I didn't.
But the idea was maybe during one of those visions, and this is we'll call it optional.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you want to, because we don't want to explain everything.
Agreed.
So this is why I didn't really write it down. But the idea was during those visions, we see either, I mean, you can really take your pick. You can say Blood Raven.
Wow.
Cat Hole.
Cat Hole voted for Blood Raven.
Jesus. So we see Blood Raven or even Maester Aemon.
Yes.
I mean, I like both of these ideas that they were theories back in the day.
Yeah.
You see them with a woman, and just in the flash, like a vision.
Right.
And what that's going to, now, again, that's optional. If you want to include it. But the idea is that at least it lets you know, and we never really get a real answer.
I agree.
But
and
the
so
vision
that's why when
just
you brought it
showing-
up, I was like, we kind of did need a little payoff.
Yeah, a
I thought.
little possible payoff.
Yeah.
At least it'll have speculation behind it. We know that Blood Raven had a lover, or if it's Maester, I like kind of Maester Aemon actually, because it explains the child in your arms. But so I would pick Maester Aemon there, where we see him, where it's him in some way. Just I'm not saying in a sex scene or anything. I'm just saying, with a woman that he obviously loves.
Yeah.
And the idea is that that's Craster's parents.
Right.
So maybe he's up at White Tree Village or something, and he's just with a woman, just whatever. They're just laying there. I don't know, whatever it may be, but something that points to possibly answering the idea of Craster and why his sons are able to be turned.
Yeah, exactly.
And not really ever answer it.
I love it.
So yeah, I mean, we could include that.
We could have included it, but still, it hit me when you were going through that. I was like, I know that he mentioned that, and I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, and I didn't. I guess I mentioned it after, but yeah, let us know actually in the comments if you like that. We'll make it official.
Yeah.
And next time,
I think that's a good idea.
I don't know. I don't
See
know
what
if
they say.
I don't know if we ever answer it for sure.
Right. There are things you can leave, but at least touch on it again.
You want to touch on it.
Yeah.
Right. You want to at least just acknowledge that you know what the hell is in the story.
Because they were, that makes, to me, baby Sam.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Gives him a little more heat,
Right. The idea is that there are some other half Targaryens, and we don't need Targaryens.
I know.
We don't need any more secret Targaryens, but the idea is the blood's special.
Right.
That's all. So
That's exactly right.
I don't think we'd ever really confirm it.
One thing else I'll say as far as Dany goes is, remember we saw her change from, she didn't want to be her brother, throne thirsty.
Absolutely.
And
then she got throne thirsty.
She did, man, and I don't like the way they wrote her.
But the thing,
so I'm glad that we're saying, yes, she's human. She's not. She's not Wonder Woman. So she is going to be aggravated a little bit. But then quickly
and she
realizes,
needs to be somewhat thirsty for the throne because she has a plan.
Yeah.
Bigger than that is what we're saying.
Right.
So yes, she wants to get it, and she has to defeat Cersei and all that stuff. Because, again, you have to get rid of her to enact your plan.
You got to get it first.
So you still can be aggravated,
Sansa.
but she knows that the end game's different.
Right.
And so it's a huge difference. And those little subtle things in those scenes, that's what makes the difference in the character.
I want her to be more dealing with the fact that, okay, I'm in love and have had sex with somebody my nephew,
Right, but love is like more important than that to me.
But I wanted that to affect her deeper than the fact that, oh, you're the heir, you know?
Right.
And because that's the character that I have been led to believe she is.
Exactly, with her whole backstory. So we're completely Team Danny here, just saying.
Yeah.
As far as what they did to her character, and it also in that scene we could have mentioned this too in the crypt scene when she responds with a little less attitude.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a relief to her to know that Rhaegar was in fact a good guy.
Wouldn't it? Because she
would
brings
say-
up the fact.
She literally says, I was always told he was such a good guy, gave money to children and loved to sing, and he raped her, and it was like, no, he didn't. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God that he was the man that everybody said
That
he
everybody
was.
said he was.
So
yes.
don't acknowledge that at all, Danny.
Right.
Because of course she had to become thirsty.
Yes,
They're
she
all
did.
thirsty. So anyway, that's episode 2. What was the name of that episode? Did I even write that down?
It was Jenny's song, wasn't it?
Did we name? Yeah, that's what it's called now. No, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Duh.
I knew that.
Yeah, you told me that like 3
I
times the
did
other night.
exactly. Yes. So yeah, we're still keeping the name.
Like
that
it.
was one of the best scenes of all time, honestly. So, that's it. That's season 2, season 8, episode 2.
That's a
Night of the
good
Seven Kingdoms.
episode. And so, like we talked about last week, was episode 3 is a lot of fighting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be interested to see what we do with that. Could be where we get 3 out of the way in 15 minutes, and then we spend 45 minutes talking about episode 4.
Right.
you know?
Yeah. We're not gonna. We'll just see what happens.
You're right, we'll see. No promises,
We're
but-
going. We're just going with the flow.
Yeah.
So we're going to build off this stuff here. So, is that it? Anything else? I think that's good.
I do
I think
too.
that sets up a lot, and I know a lot of people know what's coming,
Oh yeah.
but we're going to set it up. Try to set it up properly with what we have, with
And-
their framework.
I will bet you this, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong. I'll bet you, if you like what we're doing, those of you who've said, I've refused to go back and watch the season,
Oh yeah.
we'll go back and watch it and appreciate it. Because I'm already 2 in, and I'm like, I like this better than I did last year. When we watched it.
Yeah, I mean,
because of what we're doing
and
with
I think
it.
your idea is great. I
And-
think if you watch this, if you listen to the podcast, or have YouTube up or whatever you're listening to it on,
Yeah.
with the actual episode and pause it and picture that scene, and it's right there. It's almost like it happened.
Yeah, and you don't hate it as much. It's like it really is happening.
It might help with the burn a little.
I hope so.
That we're still all
I hope
feeling.
we do this justice in the end.
Yeah.
Because as of right now, I have high hopes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, we could just pull up Dragon Raised by Wolves and rehash it, but we're going to make it fit, is what we're saying. That's what we're going to try.
We're
going
to take what they gave us visually and put our story right there with it.
Right.
It's gonna be awesome.
So hopefully you guys are digging this. Let us know in the comments below. Again, huge favor if you're watching this on YouTube, leave us a comments on YouTube. Please like the video. It lets the algorithm know you like it. Watch as much as you can. I know people can't watch an hour a lot of times or close to it. This is
Right.
probably about, I'm guessing, 45 minutes for this one because we don't have to explain every time now.
That's
but
right.
Anyway, let us know what you think. I guess that's it.
Go to sleep watching it.
Yeah, there you go.
Leave
with
it playing.
with the playlist on.
Yes, do that.
There you go.
We appreciate it.
Put on the playlist that's got all 500 and something videos and let it play all night. That'll help a lot.
We sure appreciate it, guys.
Yes.
I can't wait to see what you think about, the specific question and then just what
Yes.
we're doing in general, because you seem to like last episode.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited.
and I guess unless there's something big that comes up as far as we may have other podcasts mixed in between these.
Never
Either
know.
way, we're going to do 6 episodes for this at least.
That's right.
Again, maybe 5. It depends on how it works out with because episode 3 may be very short.
It could be.
It could be a short 15.
Although
minute
we
talk.
do have plans.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But thank you so much for watching. Let us know what you think, and we'll let it fade to black.